What is up, everybody? Welcome to Weekend Review, and today we are doing a review of Mind MGMT. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Number one, all right, I have the deluxe version of the game. Look at this gigantic, thick boy, all right? This is not the retail copy. Retail copy is a lot thinner of a box, so if you ever get a copy of this, you're wondering what the deluxe is, the difference, it's a much thinner box than this. It's a lot smaller. But this is the deluxe edition, so there are some deluxeified things, so keep that in mind when thinking about my review. I am reviewing the deluxe version. I do not know what the retail version comes with because I don't have that version, but from what I can understand, they took out some of the wooden components and replaced them with little cardboard standees and things like that. So, and the board is a little bit thinner and stuff like that, and they have a cardboard divider. But let's go ahead and look at this game and take a look at what's inside. So first and foremost, let's talk about the setup and storage. Well, one of the cool things is that this game has a very interesting storage solution. And so when you look into the box, once you take all these components out, here's the board and here is the divider. The little thing that blocks the other people's view of your board. Everything has its own neat little components. So for the deluxe version of this game, really well organized. I think the storage solution is very, very good. So setup and storage for me is kind of a 2 out of 2. It doesn't take a lot of setup, and the setup is cool because it's a part of the game. That's something that I like, is that I don't have to sit here and set the game up before people get here, because a lot of the elements of the game is them setting up their own stuff, placing their characters, placing these mayhem markers and things like that, and then all the other stuff goes off to the side. You give everybody some markers. It's not much of a setup, and it is really, really, it's a really good storage solution. So setup, storage, great, 2 points for that. Now, let's take a look at the book. Let's talk about the learn and the teach. So, learning the game was pretty cool, man. I think the instruction manual looks really nice on the inside. But here's where things get a little weird. So, if you look at the actual rules setup, there is spots where if you're setting up the game for the first time, you look at the spots that are tan. Everybody reads those. For advanced setup, you do this. But then for training, you have to, if you're doing a training setup, you ignore this and only do the green and ignore all the reds. And then the training version takes out some of the key components that make the game kind of fun. So I don't know, man. I felt like this, and then this is super busy and trying to figure everything out. Look at the rules right here where it's look at all the green. Oh yeah, but if you're doing the regular setup, it's in red, so ignore the green and just do the red. I think that was convenient and a good thing, but I think some people can get kind of confused by it. The read wasn't too bad when it came to learning the game, but teaching the game can be a little bit much. You can explain it as you go, but there's a lot of things you really need to know ahead of time about where to place the mayhem markers. If you explain the game and you want them to explain the mayhem markers, it's one of those games that you just have to play it once, learn from your mistakes. But the bad part about that is that the bad part about learning as you go is that if you try to learn as you go, you're gonna get demolished by the recruiter, right? Or the recruiter's gonna have a hard time. And learning as you go is a lot more difficult with this game because it's oh dang, I didn't know I could do that. Well, if I would have known that, I would have done this. And by that time, people just had a bad experience. So the teach is kind of weird. It's one of those games you just have to play and learn as you go. But at the same time, when you do that, you just pray and hope that the people don't have a bad time with it. So I found the learn and the teach was an okay experience. I didn't really have a lot of trouble teaching. It's not a complex game, so teaching it was not that bad. But at the same time, it was just weird. You know what I mean? Because you have to try to explaining the nuances of, hey, and you can do that as you go. Where I would say that if you're gonna when you're teaching this game, play as the recruiter, and let everybody play as the rogue agents, and have them give them clues. Let them get in, because that was the thing. I played and I taught them how to play, but my wife had already played, so I let her kind of instruct the team on how they should play and what they should do. But at the same time, it was kind of like they were so like they had a bad experience because they could not get any clues. Like all of their asking actions to find out with the like the different features, they were getting them all wrong, and I just felt bad, man. Like they had an okay experience, and they didn't really enjoy it as much. So for me, the learn and the teach is like a 1. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it a 1. I can't give it a 2 because it's not like super easy to learn and teach. And there's a lot of nuances that you can't teach, right? You have to learn and play this game multiple times in order to get the nuances and figure out how certain mechanics work. So it's one of those things where it's like, like for example, The Office. The Office is one of the greatest shows of all time. But if you can't get past that first season, you're not going to enjoy the show. This game is one of those games you got to play it a couple of times before you get a good idea of what it's like, for sure. So that's it for learn and teach. Let's talk about visuals and components. Visuals and components, 2 out of 2. I don't even really need to go into detail about that. With the deluxe copy of this game, you have these really amazing wooden characters, and so you can see there. They have like 2-sided. It comes with the immortals, which are really cool when you see like the detail on these, and everything is like hand drawn. These are really nice. It's got some regular magnetic markers, which I don't understand why they're magnetized. I think that's just because they bought packs of magnetic markers and just threw them into the box. But wooden components for like the little feet markers and stuff like that, and it's good. I think component quality is great. All of the wooden components are good. This is the little marker board for the recruiter, and so these are how they can mark everything off with the erasable marker. It's got great artwork on the other side and different things you can to look at and stuff. It's pretty cool. But yeah, it's a cool board. The actual board itself is really nice and good quality, and then the back has like comic strips on it. So it's a solid game, and it doesn't. I think component quality is great, fantastic. Only thing I didn't like was, and I think this is just a problem with my board, is that the little one of the little this thing right here is not fully flat. So like mine swings around. So when I place it flat, it just kind of swings in like this, and it doesn't go out the way it's supposed to. And I'm not exactly sure how to fix that. I don't want to break or warp the board. And the back side of it was very hard to slip cards in here without like damaging the cards themselves. But component quality and art, I think, is fine. I think the art is really subjective. Like, you're either gonna love the art or hate it. I think some people will look at it and be like, ew, like, who did the artwork on this? But I think for me, I really like the art. I think it looks great. But for art, visuals, and component quality, I think it's like a 1.5. It's pretty solid. So we got a 2 for setup, storage, and that. Then we've got the learn and the teach is getting a 1. Components, visuals are getting a 1.5, almost a 2. I think the next one is gameplay and mechanics. Mechanically, this game is great. The one thing that I love about this game is that it's a very easy to, like, it's not easy to learn. The thing that I like is that it's a very approachable game. Like, it's not easy, like, at all. Like, once you start understanding how the game works, it's like, it's very thinky. But it doesn't take a lot to get people into the game. Like, it can be relatively easy. And the reason I say that is because Beast is a lot more complicated than this game, and this game's a lot more simple. That's what it is. The game is simple. Like, you don't have a ton of stuff you can do on your turn. You just get, like, one action. In Beast, there's the whole drafting mechanic. Every card that I draft, I have to think about how it combines with the other cards in my hand. I have to consider, if I'm giving this to the opponent, what they can do with it. It's better if I just hate draft it, but then I can't lose it, or I can't use it because it's not going to be very good for me. This game, very simple gameplay mechanic wise. There's a lot of things that you can do on your turn. There's you move and you do an action, and then if you have an ability, you can trigger it, and that's it. That's all that it comes down to for the other team. There's like 4 actions they can choose from, which are pretty simple to understand how they work. But the hard part, like I said, is the nuances of understanding the game board and going, hey, since this symbol I've already asked about parrots. There's no way that he went this way or that he did this, or because there's a parrot here and here. He wouldn't go after those because he's not after them. So then like that's where the nuances come in. It's like, okay, this was step 2, so there's no way that this is step 3 because he would have had to go this way, and that he can't make that kind of a move. And so yeah, it's mechanically a really good game. I think it's very solid, and I think that the mechanics behind it, how the recruiter is the person that is hiding. Their job is to locate different symbols. So like you'll get a card that has like a little pink car on it. That little pink car, the more of them that you can locate, you circle all of the ones that are on the board, and then you kind of move throughout the board. You only move one space at a time. And as you locate these little pink cars, you'll be able to score points for each one that you do. And once you score 12 points, you win. Or if you could run out the clock and wait till you get to 1,600 hours at the end, turn 16, I guess technically. Actually, it's like turn 11 or 12. There's like 12 turns, and if you can wait till the end without getting caught, then you win. So it's really cool mechanically. I love that that's the win condition for this guy. He has 2 win conditions. He can instantly win just by waiting out the turns, or he can win by doing the hard work of getting all these things. But every time you grab one of these, you have to put it out on the board that you grabbed one, but you don't have to say where. And then there's a cool thing with the immortals where they can capture recruits by being on the same symbol in 2 different spots, and then they can claim those symbols. But every time you do that, it gives a piece of information to the people. I like that they have abilities where they can push immortals out of the way. When you can ask people for information, you can shake down immortals and gain information from them by knowing what the person is seeking after, which takes away from their ability to gain points that way. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do. You can pick up their footprints and then know exactly what step that was. And then there's like a little turn tracker, which tells you how many steps they've already taken. So it's like, this was turn 7, it's turn 8. That means he was just here. So he's either here, here, or here, right? That's really cool, and I really enjoy that. And then there's like a little mind slip action that the recruiter can do where they can move 2 spaces diagonally, which they normally wouldn't be able to do. I think the mechanics are solid. It's a 1.5 for me on the mechanics and the gameplay. And then fun factor, theme, and replayability. This is where it gets another 2 for me, because I think that, number 1, for me, this was a very fun game. It's super short. Every time that I've played this game, it plays I've played it solo, 2 players, 5 players. I haven't played 4, but I will tell you that at 5 and 3 players is where this game really shines. And also as a dueling game, 1, 3, and 5 players. So I don't doubt that 4 players is good. I just think it's weird because one person will be 2 characters and then the other 2 will be 1 character. But this game is so much fun. At 5 people, it's really good because everybody has 1 character that they're playing as. At the 2-player count, you have the recruiter and you have 1 other player, and they play as all 4. So they use a character and then flip it down to know that they've already moved it. Then they move their next character and flip it down. Then the recruiter takes a turn. Then they put another character, flip it. So it's not too bad with 2 players. Like you have to play as 4 people, but really it's not that bad. And it's just really thinky and really fun, and I think it has a ton of replayability, especially the deluxe version, because the deluxe version comes with this thing, which when you open it up has a whole, you can open this up and you have all these different modules. I'll bring that a little closer. Every single one of these little cartons, you can pull them out, and they have secret objectives and missions and things that you can do. And there's 2 sides to this, so when you open up this side, there's even more on that side. And so there's a bunch of different modules that you can play with to give the game a ton of replayability, and I think that that's super cool. I haven't even gotten into this, not to mention that in the side here, it even came with a whole bunch of secret missions. So secret mission 1, secret mission 2, and then you keep these contents hidden until instructed to by a certain website. You could play against a computer. There's a ton of replayability in this game. I don't see how this game could ever get boring. So I love the game. The replayability is good. The fun factor is great. The theme is not as interesting, But I find it interesting because I really like the theme, because I know nothing about the actual like graphic novel series that this is based off of. I don't know anything about it, but it makes me kind of want to watch it. Which, by the way, this is pretty cool too, or not want to watch it, read it. If you were to do this, you can see there's like a skull over the girl's face, and like secret words and messages are hidden on the box if you get it in the right light. It's pretty cool, right? So yeah, and then all over the box, I thought this was pretty cool. I could have put this as a point towards like the graphics, the whatever you call it, but if you look on the inside of the box, there's secret messages that you can look at if you have the little turn marker. The little turn marker has a red lens, and then you use that to take a look at the secret messages. There's a ton of replayability in this game. The fun factor for me was through the roof, although some people didn't find it as enjoyable. I think most of the people in my player group didn't enjoy it as much as they did Beast, but that's probably something I'll talk about in a second. But as far as like fun factor theme, that's a 2 for me. So it got a 2 for, what was it? The first thing, setup and storage is a 2. Then a 1, that's 3. Then a 1.5, well actually it was a 1.5, so that's 3.5, 4.5, and then it got another 1.5, 4.5, 6, plus 2 at the end, that's an 8. So the game is an 8 for me, and I think I did the math right on that. If not, just put it in the comment section, but I think it's a game. The game feels like an 8. Like, it doesn't feel like a 7. It feels, for me, it feels like an 8. Even with the replayability and all the different things that they add to it, I think this game is solid. Now, the question is, oh man, always. The question is, how does it compare to the game Beast? Which I think some people are interested in seeing, and how does it compare against other hidden movement games like Whitechapel and things like that. I like those games, the different hidden movement games, but I really like Beast, and I like Mind MGMT. Beast is really good. I actually really love Beast because Beast has drafting, which feels a lot like Blood Rage and other games that have that drafting mechanic in it. Really cool, man, and there's a lot of strategy just to that. And then when you use them, the cool thing about the cards too is that the cards are either a green or an orange color, so you have to play them one orange, one green. So it's not like you can just play whatever cards you want on your turn. You can play up to 2 cards, but they have to be orange and green. You can't play 2 greens, you can't play 2 oranges. But Beast is, man, Beast is a heck of a game, and this is actually my play group's favorite. Like, they prefer this over Mind MGMT. They love this game. They gave this game like an 8, 9. I give this game somewhere between a 7 and an 8. I really enjoyed the game. I think it's actually, I'd probably give it an 8, probably around the same thing as Mind MGMT. I really think that there's space in the collection for both, because I think if you want a really strategic, thinky game, you're going to go Beast. If you want something that's a little bit quicker, you're going to go Mind MGMT. Mind MGMT, that's the thing that I liked about it. I didn't put it in the review, but I think it should add to the value of this game, is that Mind MGMT can be played in like 30 minutes. Beast will take you an hour and a half to 2 hours to play through an entire game, maybe even more, depending on your play group and how much AP they get. But I think both of them are good. I think they can both end up in the collection. I know Beast has gotten some bad reviews from some people, but it's such a good game, man. I'm sorry if people didn't like this and people are saying I'd rather play Scotland Yard or anything. And I'm like, those games are so old, and this game does such a cool thing with all of the components that it has, and the monster. I love this. It feels like a Monster Hunter or Evolve. It feels like something like that, but just in a board game box. Really cool. But I think both belong in your collection, and I think they both get the same score from me. So I think it's just up to preference. Maybe you like the theme better in this one than you do in the others. But anyways, thanks guys for tuning into this review. That's Mind MGMT. Gets an 8 from me, and I am excited to get it to the table again with a different play group and see how they like it. But to me, it's a very approachable, fun, amazing hidden movement game. So you should check it out. Next one I got to do is Sniper Elite, and then we'll see how those compare, and we'll do a 3-way comparison of those games. But that's it. Love you guys. Have a good one. See you guys later. Peace out.